Hi, everybody. This is our assignment for the week, which is to go ahead and fill in a color wheel. And not only will you do the basic hues of the color wheel, you're also going to add tints and shades. A tint is a color with white in it, and a shade is a color with black in it. But you'll see how interestingly those two colors, white and black, change our basic hues or colors that we can make by mixing our primaries and together. So I am going to send everybody this image. I'm just going to share my screen with you, this color wheel. And this is preferable to what I had you start out with today, which is to draw a circle and make a circle for the red. It's fine, but what happens is it's not enough room to really go into your tints and shades in an organized way. So I am going to send this to you. You can either do it right on the 8x10 sheet of paper that I've sent, or you can just, make it larger and redo it a little bit bigger. Seems like that's a lot of work, but at any rate, what I want you to do is to go around this color wheel and fill in the colors. Go right over the word blue and blue violet. Just go right over them with the color that you decide. So the first thing you want to do, though, is start with our basic primary colors: blue, yellow, and red. You might remember that. You may know that already. But those are our three primary colors that sort of set the stage for everything else that happens. What you want to do is, as you mix your colors for, the main color here, mix red, whatever you decide your red is, whether it could be right out of the tube, your red that you choose to be the designated, perfect red, or if you add a little bit of a different color to it, like maybe your magenta. It just depends on what you're starting with. You put that color in, and then you immediately go ahead and mix that color you mixed up with white, and then and then wash your brush off, and then you immediately mix your red with black and put that color in. The reason that you want to do this whole set, for example, at the same time is that you want to always start with the color that you had already mixed. You don't want to go back and have to remember what color you mixed, because you could just go all the way around the color wheel and put in these main hues. But then when you get to the shades and the tints, you'll have to remix them again. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do that. And yeah, your homework assignment would really be to go around the circle 3 times, actually, and mix these colors. So let me just continue to show you here. All right, so for example, here we go. This is what I would like you to think about. So I have my 2 reds here. I have my magenta, which is a bluish red, right? I mean, that's basically what it is. This is a very new color. It's a synthetic color that was not available 30, 40 years ago if you studied painting back then. We had alizarin crimson, but it really wasn't the same. So this wonderful new color magenta has changed everything in terms of how the color violet that we can achieve. We never used to be able to get a gorgeous violet color. So but nonetheless, I was talking to you about mixing our reds first. But suppose you're starting with your red. You can start with any color. It really doesn't matter. I just chose red because I don't know. But this red, really is a pretty perfect red. I mean, I don't know that I could really add to that or change it necessarily for the better if I added my magenta. But you should know that that is a possibility, that you can add, you might add your color. So at any rate, what you would do here is, start by painting in your space of red or blue or whatever it is you're starting with, right? Something like that. This color is actually pretty opaque all by itself. Some of the colors are more opaque than others. without having to add anything to them. As I said earlier, most of these colors, though, are pretty opaque. You can see that because on Golden's labels, they have these little black slaps that or paint, real paint on top of it, and shows you how very transparent that is. The Pyrrole Red, which this color is, as you can see, doesn't show a lot of the black. It's a little bit, but not a lot. So it's much less transparent naturally than the magenta, but really neither here nor there for our purposes now. So we're just trying to figure out what these colors actually look like. All right, so I'm going to wipe my brush off, and then I'm going to make the tint. As I said, you always want to go ahead and make your tints and your shades at the same time, because if you don't do that, you're going to have to go back and remix your colors when you go around the circle to make, you know, your different shades and tints. So let's make a tint. So we're going to add white to our paint. You always want to start in this case, you'll have a little palette already to go. So I'm just going to take a extra sheet of paper here and show you that. So you can, you know, palette paper or whatever, just a scrap piece of paper to mix this color. Just want to take another little sheet of paper, and I'm just going to put a little bit of my color out there. You know, you don't need a lot. This paint goes so far. And then you want to get a little bit of your white going. So you want to maybe just squeeze out a little bit on the side. This paint is kind of old, so I'm going to have to dip in here. Something that I would not recommend doing, because of course you may get, you know, another color on the white. But okay, so now I'm going to mix. How much white? I don't know. You know what? You want it to be a little bit lighter. You know, do the best you can. I mean, you'll see. So, and then just go ahead and put that color. As you can see, it's a really pretty pink. You need a little bit of water, but generally speaking, don't add water to your paints as you're doing this, because you'll make them more transparent. You really want them to be opaque. So we're putting this white down here. So it's a nice shade of pink, as you can see. And then we're going to wash our brushes off one more time and make the shade of this color. And you'll be so surprised at what colors you are able to make when you add black. So black is a really interesting color. I mean, it is you know, a color that we might naturally go to make something darker, but not necessarily, because it can actually change the color. Instead of making something darker, it could actually literally change the color. For example, if you add black to yellow, you're going to get a green, which is maybe not what you were hoping to do when you add black. But oops, a little bit, way more than I needed here. So I'm going to take a little bit of my my black, and here I've got my original color, the red. Not enough of my original color, so I'm going to need to go back and add a little bit of that red. You know, if you have a palette knife, this is a great thing to use for your palette knife. Really saves you washing off your brushes all the time. All right, so now actually you can see that color starting to turn actually kind of brick. It's a beautiful color, but a very different color than you might expect. And then we're going to go ahead and put that shade down next to the tint. So we have, you know, color that's got white in it, and you've got a color that has black in it. So the hue, another fancy word for color, the tint, and the shade. So, you know, kind of sounds like shadow, so, you know, it makes a lot of sense, right? Shade. And then hue is this fancy word for color. There you go. So this is your assignment. I want you to go through the entire color wheel and go ahead and place in the hue, then add white for the tint, black for the shade, and finish the whole thing It's going to take a while, but as I said, I think it's a really, really well worth doing, you know, because as you get into wanting to use color, you got to know a little bit about what the pigments in your paint do. Not just the color, because you know you could pick yellow, but it could be a, as you now see, cool yellow or a warm yellow. And when you mix a cool yellow with green with blue, you're going to get a very different color of green than if you mix it with a warm color of yellow, right? So it's very important to get a sense of what these colors do.